Hi, it's Marvin McKenzie. I'm the pastor of Bible Baptist Church in Puyallup, Washington. I'd like to bring another thought concerning why I use the King James Version of the Bible. One of the arguments that people will make, those who do not hold to the concept or to the idea that God has preserved His word today perfect and infallible, where there's no mistakes in any word of the Bible. One of the arguments that they will make is they'll say, they'll say something that'll sound a lot like this. Well, all translations of the Bible are at least 98% the same. So they'll lump the King James and the NIV and the RSV, NASV, and all of those Bibles, they'll put them all together. They'll lump them all together, and they'll say all of these translations are 98% or at least 98% the same, or the manuscripts that you work from are 98% the same. And so they'll say, well, they're fundamentally, they're practically the same Bible because they're 98% the same. And yeah, there's a few differences between an NIV and an RSV or an NASV, and there's a few differences between the NIV and the King James Version, and there's a few differences between the King James Version and the New King James Version or whatever, but those differences, they would say, are insignificant because for the most part, these Bibles are all the same. They say, for the most part, they'll say the same things. And they'll say no major doctrine has been damaged by the differences, and that all of these versions of the Bible, for all practical purposes, say the very same thing and teach the very same Christian doctrines. And they'll like to argue with that just a little bit and tell you that. So they're all the same. What's the big deal? Well, and it got to thinking about this. How much poison makes a thing poisonous? How much poison would you accept if you were going to drink a nice cold glass of water, and you pull that glass out, and it's purified water, maybe filtered water or spring water? It's just beautiful, cold, crisp, clear water, and it's sitting in this beautiful glass, looking you up and looking right there, staring right at you. And someone walks up and he says, "I've got some arsenic. I'd like to put a little bit of this arsenic in your water. What do you think about that?" And how much arsenic would you allow him to put in your water before you'd say, no, that water is now poisonous to drink? And I'd recommend to you that it would be very, very little. A drop would be too much. A fraction of a drop would be too much. Him bringing the dropper of the poison into the top of your glass without even dropping in, that might even be too much for you. How much poison does it take to make a thing poisonous? I used to go out soul winning with a fellow that he would like to talk about how much how much sin makes a person a sinner, and he'd say this. He'd say, well, what if I pulled out a glass of water out of a toilet? What if I cleaned that toilet bowl real clean and and I disinfected and all that and dipped it out? Would you drink? No, just the thought of where it is makes the water corrupted to us, And the same thing, poison is poison, and you wouldn't take much poison to make the thing poisonous. In fact, Jesus used something like this kind of a principle when he said, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Now, doesn't take a lot of leaven, just takes a little leaven to leaven the whole lump. Just takes a little of something to spoil the whole thing. And I'm suggesting to you today that very same thing is true with the King James Version or with the translations of the Bible. If a translation of the Bible is it wrong in any part of it, if it's 98% correct but 2% wrong, that 2% makes the whole corrupted. I'd even go so far to say if it's 99% correct and only 1% wrong, it's corrupted. Or maybe if it was 99.9% correct and just 1% or 0.1% wrong, it's corrupted. It's not the word of God. God said that he would preserve his words pure from this generation and forever. And so the question has just got to be, if a translation of the Bible is wrong in a little bit, then I would suggest that it's wrong in the whole. And since God has given us a promise that he would preserve his words infallible and inerrant. He would purify them and preserve and protect them forever. And I'm going to suggest to you that that's either the King James Version or it's got to be in one of the other translations. And the other translations, none of them even suggest the idea that they would be 99% pure. In fact, they're all based on, they're built on the premise that they cannot be pure. And only the King James Version has any kind of history, any kind of background, any kind of authority to be able to claim that it is the pure Word of God. I want to suggest to you today that you want to stick with your King James Version of the Bible. It is the Word of God without error. It is infallible, and every single word that's found in there will be is profitable to you. Stick with your King James Version. Stick with the King James Version of the Bible. The rest of them, they may only have a little bit of poison, but they've got some poison. And a little bit of poison poisons the whole thing. Marvin McKenzie, I'm the pastor of Bible Baptist Church in Puyallup, Washington. I'd like to invite you to visit our website at www.puyallupbaptistchurch.com. Thank you.